Nothing more to say. Ernie Schlegel must strike on this ball. If he strikes, he is the new PBA national champion. If he doesn't, Earl Anthony has won his 4th national championship. 1 ball after 7 days in 56 games. 1 strike needed to win.
All but the 2-pin. Wow. And down to 1 shot. Earl Anthony. Talk about tension. Never seen Earl release so much after that shot. That dramatic finish a year ago gave Earl Anthony his 4th PBA national title. Today, Earl defends it in his attempt for an unprecedented 5th win, a win that would make him bowling's first millionaire. Today, it's the 2nd jewel of bowling's Triple Crown. ABC Sports present the Professional Bowlers Tour celebrating our 20th anniversary. Live from Toledo, Ohio, it's the PBA National Championship. And now let's meet our 5 finalists. In 5th place, the most consistent bowler this season, Charlie Tapp. Qualifying 4th, winner of 18 PBA titles, Hall of Famer Dave Davis. In 3rd place, a 3-time winner from Cottage Grove, Oregon, Steve Westberg. Qualifying 2nd, winner of 9 PBA titles from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, Mike Durbin. And the leader, winner of more PBA titles and more prize money than anyone, Earl Anthony. And now inside, you're looking at the lanes here at Imperial in friendly Toledo, Ohio. And what a week it's been. 360 professionals started, and we're down to the final 5 for the prestigious PBA National Championship. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted to be back this friendly city on the Maumee River. Well, we started out the month with the United States Open in Houston, Texas, won by Dave Houston. The first leg of the Triple Crown. Today, it's the 2nd, the PBA National Championship. At the end of April, it'll be the Firestone Tournament of Champions. 5 finalists. There's a great significance because of the nature of the title, a national championship. But there's added drama this particular Saturday afternoon in Toledo because of one man, the tournament leader. Nelson Burton is with him right now.
Thank you, Chris. The national championship, every pro would like to win it, but this man on my right has won it 4 times, and Earl, this tournament has to have some special significance for you.
Definitely does, Bo. I think the key for me is that it is our oldest major championship. To me, it's more prestigious than any other event we play. And as Chris has mentioned, I have a chance to do everything at once. Go over the $1 million mark today and win it on national television. And, you know, win my 5th national championship, I can go on and on. It's a big deal for me.
Super, Earl. And Chris, 90 minutes from now, we'll know if he can do it all.
All right, and right here in Toledo, a breakthrough in the total prize money for the first time. Richest bowling tournament ever. $200,000, the winner to get $38,000. Runner-up spot, not bad at all. $20,000, 11 for 3rd. For 4th, it's 8, and for 5th, it is $6,000. We invite you to stay tuned for the first match from South St. Paul. Charlie Tapp going against New Jersey's Dave Davis.
Light beer from Miller tastes just great, and that's no fish story. But the best thing is, it's less filling. Light's got 1/3 less calories than their regular beer, and that's important when you're trying to land that big one. Like yesterday, I hooked this bass, fought him for over 6 hours. All of a sudden, he jumps clean over the boat. Broke my rod, and I had to tie the... Now, wait a minute, fellas. I had to tie the line off.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Left me out there with nothing but a paddle.
For years, professionals have used Bengay not only after exercise, but to warm up before. Does warming up with Bengay really help? A recent clinical study proved when healthy adults warmed up with Bengay, they ran more comfortably for a longer time. For years, there's been proof Bengay helps relieve soreness for hours after exercise. Now there's proof Bengay can help you warm up before. Bengay after and Bengay before. Feel better with Bengay.
Before you buy a new car, remember this. Oldsmobiles are built for today's driving needs with Olds quality, style, and traditional Olds value. And now, popular price front-wheel drive Oldsmobiles are even more affordable with a $500 cash bonus on the new Cutlass Sierra and $750 on any new Omega or Oldsmobile Forenza. Take retail delivery now through March 31st at your participating Olds dealer. Your new Oldsmobile and a cash bonus are waiting for you now.
And now live here on ABC, the first match, 6'5" Charlie Tapp, 30-year-old from South St. Paul, going against 6'2" Dave Davis, bowling out of Tenton Falls, New Jersey. Tapp will shoot first. He finished 5th out of that huge field that started here. And he's had a great year. It's his 3rd championship round appearance of the year. Placed 5th in Las Vegas, U.S. Open. He finished 4th. Well, Nelson, the first shot had to be a 4-9, huh?
Chris, he was a little tentative on that shot and just eased up, and the ball broke through very sharply. Watch the 2-pin go around the 4. That's the pin on the second, on the left-hand part of your screen. 2nd pin. Now, normally the 4 will be taken out by the 2, and the 4 will trip in the 9. But unfortunately for Charlie, a tough spare.
The odds for the professionals, 3-1. One of 2 right-handers in the field of 5. He converts it. Another example of the type of athlete bowlers we have in the PBA. Charlie Tapp converting the 4-9. We look at it again. Watch.
Perfect shot. Just slid it right across.
Now we're looking at Mr. Smooth, that 39-year-old champion, Dave Davis. Crossing over, leaving the 2. And a little habit that we've noticed, Dave Davis, Bowie comes up to that line and sort of checks out the footwork, whether sticking at the line or whatever.
It's a bit of a nervous habit, Chris. Dave has a very methodical approach, but when he's a little nervous, sometimes he digs that foot right in the line and kind of sticks a little bit on the first shot.
But look how smooth, and what a talented professional, extending that left arm. Steve Westberg is the other left-hander, and of course our tournament leader, as you well know, Earl Anthony, shoots from that left side. Gives you an idea of his age, his weight. He's picked up a few pounds since we've known him, Bo, on that 6'2" frame.
Dave, always a good athlete, but has gained about 20 pounds, really all in the right places. He's much stronger in the upper body than he was when he was a young man.
Well, the 2-time Firestone Tournament of Champion winner, Dave Davis, has marked with a spare in the first frame, a strike in the second. Now, after the conversion, Tapp is up shooting in the second frame. Right lane of this championship pair, where Tapp averaged 225, Davis 225.5.
Both these lanes play about the same. We're bowling on a lacquer finish instead of the urethane plastic finish. The shot for the right-handers is right down the second arrow. Very little hook and a lot of speed.
And the right-hander leaves the 6'10".
That's the one thing that Charlie's going to have to watch is you see his big, tall frame, that he has to keep his speed up. Now, he has a very short push away, as you can see there. Takes the ball back in excellent position, shoulders level, and then rolls through it very nicely. But for a right-hander to keep it in play, you have to use a little extra speed. It's more difficult with the short backswing like Charlie Tapp has.
Looking for his very first win. Saying right clean through the second frame, Charlie Tapp, who is the youngest in this field of 5 at 30, and the tallest at 6'5". Former drag racer from South St. Paul, Minnesota, gave it up because of economics.
Well, we have some drag racers on ABC Sports that really go down the line today, too.
Sue is here. It's Charlie's wife.
Tapp right back in there, Chris. Excellent shot. He had a good extension and just let the ball lay right in the pocket. You don't want to try to overpower it. For yourself, an excellent strike. He only trails Davis by 2.
Dave Davis up now. The double. He hopes. No, coming up high. But there it is, 7-10.
Actually got a bad break. A pin came across and knocked out the 4-pin. Watch Davis's ball as it rolls high on the right-hand lane. Cuts through, 6-pin rolls around, knocks out the 4. Dave not taking any time.
So it's a tough break. 48 to the third frame, which is an open one for Dave Davis, with a total of 18 titles in 19 years as a professional. The year's work and this week's average and the championship pair average. And Charlie Tapp concentrating.
Dave a bit tentative on both lanes, Chris, and last night he bowled 267 in the very final and 56th game of this tournament to knock Roy Buckley out of the top 5 and earn the last spot in the championship round. He was using a lot of speed last night. He was very aggressive. Right now, he's kind of struggling, kind of feeling his way around, and he has to get his act together to put pressure on Tapp.
Oh, the 1-3 off the 9. So now, Davis, back-to-back open frames, and that is disastrous. Right here in our very first game, live from Toledo, Ohio, Imperial Lanes. We'll return for a continuation of this first match with Tapp in the lead by 21.
We are very proud of you, Peabody.
Thank you, sir.
Your design of the Firestone 721 is brilliant.
Well,
a tire using 7 around 2 wrapped by 1. Genius.
Oh.
24 million on the road, Peabody. And we're grateful.
Chief,
Just one more thing.
Sure.
Now, Peabody, we want you to top it.
Top it?
The Firestone 721. It's one tough tire to top.
There's a man here who's driving me mad, but I can't seem to track him down. I'm not in the habit of following men, but he's wearing a fragrance I find absolutely devastating. So if he can't find exactly what he's looking for, I might suggest something. Cambridge. The gentleman's fragrance women find devastating.
Next, tremendous feats of strength in the World Weightlifting Championships, dragsters roaring in the Winter Nationals, plus a race for the gold in the 40-kilometer relay at the World Nordic Skiing Championships. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
Imagine in the World Weightlifting Championships trying to lift weights in excess of 500 pounds. That's a portion of exciting ABC's Wide World of Sports. And now Charlie Tapp, after 2 open frames by Dave Davis, has a 21-pin lead, can go out another 10 pins with a strike here. Strike working, shooting in the 4th frame. And that is taking advantage of an error on the part of his opponent. We asked him earlier, what's the meaning of the national championship to you as a professional bowler? Here's Charlie's answer.
The national championship to me is everything. It gets me in the Firestone for 7 years. It gets me my first title, and it would get me my name among bowling's immortals. A lot of the big name stars have won this tournament, and I'd like to have my name right there with them. And I'd like to say happy birthday to Sue.
Sue is not here. So, Sue, happy birthday. A moment ago on the screen, you saw Mike Durbin's bride, but Sue is back in South St. Paul.
There's Debbie Durbin.
Yeah.
Her husband will be in the second to last match, and I'll tell you, he might be the favorite to win this, even though Earl Anthony's on top. We'll see what happens in the early going. Charlie Tapp keeping the ball in the pocket, Chris, every frame but the second frame. Hasn't really gotten any good breaks. He left a 4-9 in the first, got strikes in the 3rd and 4th. Here he's left a 10-pin.
All right, spare for Charlie Tapp.
Dave Davis up. He was telling me at his cocktail lounge in his bowling center that they have free drinks in the lounge while ever Dave's on the air and still winning matches, so he better get going if they want to keep drinking.
Well, a 9-pin for Dave Davis on the right lane, and you know, with 3 left-handers, as we see that stroke from that side leaving the 9, Dave told me that Joanne, his wife, is a southpaw as well.
She's quite a good bowler, too. In fact, when we were bowling the tips, doing the tips in Paramus, New Jersey about 4 years ago, Joanne had a 760 series in league, so she's been watching everything.
All right. And we had an opportunity to ask Dave Davis what a PBA national championship means to a professional, more specifically him.
Well, the national championship to me is the tournament. It's the PBA tournament. I know we have our Firestone Tournament of Champions and things, but just to win the national would be my third time. I know there's $38,000 first here. And, you know, I'd like to catch Earl Anthony in the amount of titles won in this tournament.
Oh, a 6'8" for Dave Davis. You know, he has one of the great dispositions.
Sign of a real pro. He really jumped on that shot. He knew he'd been a bit tentative. He was behind by 20 pins in a match through 3 frames. Davis showing his championship form. Starts jumping on the ball, putting more on it. He gets a bad break, leaves a solid 9 in the 5th frame. And here, lo and behold, the 6'8". The left-handers answer the 4-9 in the 6th. Really got to go for it to stay in the match.
Dave down there right at the line on both knees, hoping. The man that won the Firestone and the PBA National Championship in the same year. Close. We're in Ohio, and from Columbus, Ohio, is our alternate $5,050 Roy Buckley, finishing 6th.
And his wife, Alice, and daughter, Angela, are up here rooting him on during the week. And as Bucks, as we call him on tour, made a great charge. Davis nailed him in the last game with a 267.
6th frame for Charlie Tapp. A 4. Welcome back our sensational action track.
We can see the trajectory that Charlie Tapp's playing. We said that around the 2nd arrow, Charlie was about 2 boards inside the 2nd arrow, the 12th board. And you see the minimum hook he's playing. Much different than what we saw young Pete Weber play last week in Peoria, Illinois. On the lacquer base finish, the players like to use a rubber ball or a urethane ball and keep the ball in line, not the big hook. Use a lot of speed.
Spare in the 6th frame for Charlie Tapp, who's in the lead by 42 pins. He is going against Dave Davis, Hall of Famer of the PBA, and you see the 42-pin lead there by Tapp of South St. Paul.
Charlie Tapp is asking for a re-rack, and the players are allowed 1 a game. Harry Golden, our national tournament director, comes in and analyzes the rack. And Chris, we can look for a little controversy along that line today. The left-handers that are on the championship round today complained earlier that the pins were off spot and favored the right-handers. The mechanic looked at the pins, and everybody seemed satisfied before we went on the air. In fact, I asked Earl Anthony if he was satisfied. He said yes, but now let's see if the controversy continues through the next 2 or 3 matches.
Charlie cleaning that missile. And here in 82, he has earned 22,230. The 3-6-10 for Charlie Tapp on the left lane. The winner of this first match will meet Steve Westberg. Look at the replay. Then the winner of that game will go against Mike Durbin. And of course, the tournament leader is Earl Anthony, shooting for his 5th national title and $1 million.
Cross lane spares are a little more difficult on this situation because with lacquer, you get a track or worn area on the right side of the lane. You must go from the smooth left side of the lane across the track on the right side of the lane and still convert the 3-6 and drive it into the 10.
Charlie Tapp will take a break. We're going to have a pause in the action here at the Imperial Lanes in Toledo, Ohio at the National Championship. A pause for this message.
I like it.
Over 8 million men who have tried the Gillette Atra razor like it.
I like it.
The Atra razor pivots to continually hug every curve and contour for a better shave than any razor that doesn't pivot.
I like it.
And right now, to get you to try Atra, if you buy 5 blades, Gillette will give you this Atra razor free.
Free? I really like that.
Right Guard knows a man needs all the protection he can get. That's why Right Guard Solid has an action-triggered formula. Triggered to release protection when your body needs it most.
So the more you sweat, the more protection you get. Right Guard action-triggered formula helps keep you dry and odor-free all day. Right Guard antiperspirant solid. The more you sweat, the more protection you get.
The deep freeze of '82. Wouldn't you like to forget it? You can. Next week, follow the Pro Bowlers to the Sun and Fun of Florida. Join us for the $100,000 Greater Miami Sunshine Open, 3:30 Eastern Time, next Saturday on ABC.
That's right. Next Saturday, Bo, we leave the snow in the Midwest to the sunshine of Florida for the Sunshine Open.
Yeah, we go down and see Bert Rose and all the boys down there. They're a great host. Davis must get striking. He has a possible 204 if he can get it going.
Beautiful strike. And Dave taking a long look. He can't believe it. He had one in the second frame. A couple of opens.
The intensity of Davis.
Oh, what a champion. Hall of Famer.
There's a man that traveled with me for 3 years, Chris. And Charlie Tapp working on his thumb hole there. He has what we call a sleeve in his thumb hole. It's a synthetic plug that we're allowed to put in there. It makes the thumb hole much smoother, and he likes that action. Apparently, he has to loosen it up.
All right, leaving the 4-7 on the left lane. Had a little of everything today. Dave Davis.
Dave, I know him very well, Chris. He reminds me of Nolan Ryan. One time I went out to see Nolan. Here's a guy who has the second greatest record in the national championship, Dave Davis. But to expound on that, Dave, Nolan Ryan, I went to see him pitch one time, and I met him. He walked 8 guys the first inning. Next game, he pitched a no-hitter. Davis is going through that same thing right now.
And he pats himself on the back for marking with a spare in the 8th frame. It's getting late for Dave in this game as he's going against Charlie Tapp.
Charlie, despite a 39-pin lead, must stay aggressive. Davis has a possible 184. Tapp, with a bad count and open, can put himself back in trouble. Keep the speed up is the most important thing for the right-handers on the championship lanes today.
Charlie averts a split, leaving only the 4-7. Let's look from behind on a replay.
Charlie, a nice arm swing, but watch how he pushes the ball away, and it comes out to the right. Now see this, as he brings it, see that separation there, then he realigns it on his backswing, gets it nice and close to that left ankle, and that's the form that is right now leading the Pro Bowlers Tour in average so far through 8 tournaments this season.
Big event, big purse, biggest ever in the national championship in Toledo. Spare in the 8th frame for Charlie Tapp, a 37-10 lead here in our very first game. The winner to meet left-hander Steve Westberg. Then a right-hander next in line, Mike Durbin, 9-time champion. And then with 37 titles, the tournament leader, Earl Anthony.
Davis contemplating the score. If Tapp gives him any kind of opening here, Davis, I'm sure, will jump right on it. So it's important to Tapp to keep the pressure on Davis and have a clean frame.
Leaving a 10-pin on the left lane.
Charlie, with that long angular body, has to have good extension to keep the ball from breaking too soon. There again, he gets the ball farther down the lane, but doesn't carry out the weak 10. The pins we're using this week are 3-pound 3-ounce and 3-pound 4-ounce pins. If you can get the ball in the pocket at a steady pace, you can shoot some big numbers.
Foundation spare for Charlie Tapp, leading by 36, and Davis is up, shooting in the 9th frame. Bo, what's the most common mistake or error women make in bowling?
Well, the tip this week will show them, Chris, and a lot of it has to do with the wrist. The women have a tendency to use too heavy a ball sometime and break their wrist when the weight of the ball hits their hand on the push-away.
All right, a recheck by Harry Golden, our tournament director.
Yeah. That's what I shot when I left the solid 9. Same one, it was a little tight. Yeah, thanks.
Dave, appreciative with that RF microphone.
What he's saying, the pins were on the same position as when he left the solid 9. Apparently the rack was open too wide for the left-hander, and he chopped the 5 off the 9. Let's see what happens on this one.
Fancy play on
All right, coming a little late. 1:24 through the 8th with a strike in the 9th, and we action track it down the lanes.
We saw the trajectory of the right-hander. Now let's see where the lefty's playing. The exact same spot, the 12th board from the left-hand channel for the left-hander. An equal shot and angle to the pocket for both righties and lefties. Good shot by Davis. He still has a chance to win if he can strike in the 10th and 11th, and disaster would hit Charlie Tapp.
The one thing about Dave Davis, he will not give up, whether he's fishing, playing golf, or bowling.
Good all-around athlete.
Loves to fish.
Dave still has a chance, Chris. A strike here would force Tapp to get at least a real good count to win the match. I've seen stranger things happen in a championship round. Davis can cut the lead to 16 with another strike.
Dave has strung 3 now. The lead is down to 16 pins by Charlie Tapp.
Dave saying, why couldn't I get a break like that earlier in the match? Took the 6 out with the 3. Possible 184 with one more strike.
What a finish by the 2-time national champion, PBA Hall of Famer, 39-year-old Dave Davis. 184 for Davis.
Charlie Tapp needs 8 on the first ball to guarantee a victory. He needs 8 pins on this shot. 8, 9 or a strike. And he goes on to meet another lefty, Steve Westberg.
Here it is. And he gets 9.
I don't know what the hell to do if the fucking ball just can't work.
Here's how it happened. Little tap on the 10 pin.
Got a good break, but he's going to have to get his act together a little better, I think, to get by Westberg in the next match.
Because it'll be Westberg next, then Durbin, then Earl Anthony. Tapp will be in the 190s. 184 for Davis. Tapp is a winner. Let's pause a few seconds to hear these messages from some of the sponsors of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC sports exclusive is being brought to you by Light Beer. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by True Value Hardware Stores. True Value, more than just a name. It's our way of doing business. Now back to Chris Schenkel.
All right, there's the national championship trophy. We have a 198 to 184 victory by Charlie Tapp, who had only 2 strikes, showing the importance of spares, while the loser, Davis, had 6 strikes. Tapp and Westberg coming up on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
You know people like me. We're young, ambitious. These are the uniforms we wear at work. But these are the uniforms we wear when we serve part-time in the National Guard and the Reserves. You see, in the Guard and Reserves, you earn extra money. So you not only serve your country, you serve yourself. Yet while you serve, you can live at home and keep your full-time job. Because in the Guard and Reserves, you don't have to give up one life to live another.
The National Guard and the Reserves. Talk to your local recruiter.
Every year at this time, Glidden spread satin wall paint becomes more popular than ever. It could be because of the beautiful colors, or because spread satin hides and scrubs so well. But then there could be another reason, the value. This is the only time of the year for our anniversary sale, when you can buy spread satin at just $9.99 a gallon. But hurry, a great paint sells even faster at a great price.
Glidden, when you make a very good paint, it shows.
Parking attendants will be there when Police Squad premieres Thursday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Of all the packages picked up by the leading air express companies, thousands don't quite make it to their destination the next day. That means thousands of people are absolutely, positively in big trouble. Airborne doesn't think this is a record anyone should be proud of. This attitude is why people who started using Airborne as the alternative now make us the standard. At Airborne, we're shooting for 100% on-time delivery. And whatever it takes, we're going to make it. Airborne overnight, we're shooting for 100%.
He's right behind you, come rain or come shine. That's why the gentleman is a champ.
He's your participating Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Only he has Chrysler rebates of $300 to $2,000. Make your best deal. Then apply your rebate toward the down payment or take the cash. See your participating dealer now.
Because the gentleman is a champ.
Hurry, rebates end Sunday, February 28th.
49er Dwight Clark cooks.
Monday on AM.
In this championship, Charlie Tapp goes against Steve Westberg by virtue of a 198 to 184 win over champion Dave Davis. Match number 2 coming up here at the Imperial Lanes, live in Toledo, Ohio. Handshakes out of the way. And now it'll be Westberg from Cottage Grove, Oregon, who this year is 19th on the money list, having earned $12,015. Incidentally, $6,000 to the loser of that first game, Dave Davis.
One of two Oregonians that have this style, Marshall Holman and Steve Westberg, the Crouchers of the tour.
And the lefty opens with a strike on the left lane. Now Tapp, whom you saw in the first game with only 2 strikes, but scored 198. Oh, that in itself would be a tip for the average bowlers, league bowlers. Make those spares.
And the tag to that is the strikes will come. So let's see what happens with Charlie Tapp in match number 2. He's going to need more than 2 strikes a game to win the national championship, let's face it. So I think that what he has to do is settle himself down and use the things that he does best. Number 1, a good long stretch at the foul line.
Look at that crowd, standing room only here at the Imperial Lanes. If they had an auditorium, if this were in an auditorium, it would be filled because of the bowling interest here in Toledo.
The new city of Toledo, completely new.
All right, match all even after 1 frame. This is our second match, the winner to meet Mike Durbin, and then in the final game where they'll be bowling for $58,000. That's right, $38,000 the winner, Earl Anthony. Here we are, leaders by round, 56 games. Varied a little, but Mr. Anthony's name is there 4 times.
Well, as you can see, Larry Lobb, whose wife Pam is sitting in with us today to get a little television knowledge, led in the first 2 rounds. Then he had a disastrous 4th round. And the way the tournament went this week is all the players bowled 3 rounds, 24 games. Then they cut to the top 90 players. That's in round 4 where Mike Durbin took the lead. Then in round 5, 6, and 7, when the 24 players left were going in match play, Earl Anthony went to the top.
And Harry Golden again had to look because of complaint on the part of Charlie Tapp, hoping for the re-rack.
Let's see what Charlie's strategy is. Let's see if he can pick up the speed. A little something on the approach does. Pick up the speed, keep the ball in the pocket. If he babies the ball, it's going to start going high. He's going to have a lot of problems.
His method has slowed down somewhat. In other words, his getting up in the approach and moving to the line. But if that's what it takes to double in his second game, 10-pin lead by Charlie Tapp and Steve Westberg. You can adjust your TV set's color to his shirt. It is sort of a hunter green. Strike up.
The reason Westberg crouches is just to get a better perspective of the lane. He says when he stands tall, it doesn't look right to him.
A 7-pin on the right lane for the man from Oregon, 32 years old. We get a profile look at that unusual style.
Push-away starts right at the shoe tops, and he gets a very short backswing. It's even deceptively short because he's crouched so low. But the man who goes a very straight ball using a rubber ball today just tries to keep it in play, hit the pocket, and stay consistent.
Oh, just got it. Spare in the second for Steve Westberg, who finished 5th in the Rolaids Open at Dick Weber Lanes, and then last week at Ray Becker's Landmark Recreation Center, True Value Open, Westberg finished 10th.
As you remember, Westberg in our last time he was on the telecast missed 2 7-pins, one in the channel and one on the right, and he almost did it again there. If he'd happen to miss another one here today, he'd have something he could really work on his game at when he goes home.
a strike in the third frame going against the first game winner, Charlie Tapp, whose score was 198 to Dave Davis's 184.
Chris, there's always talk about who's got the advantage in the game of bowling, the righty or the lefty. In this situation, although the lefties are in the championship round and Anthony's at the top, when you bowl on a pair of lanes where a player can figure out the track with a number of practice balls before we go in the air, I believe the right-handers actually have the advantage because they can make that track work for them and they know exactly where to stand, and the lane changes very little. The left-handers have a smoother side, and it is an advantage to them to be crossing a house, moving from pair to pair. But when a righty can stay on a pair, he's very tough.
Double up. Sliding by, leaving the bucket. 2-4-5-8 for Charlie Tapp.
The eyes of Charlie Tapp. He knows it's going to slide by. The 2-4-5-8. And the problem with this shot is he tried to move in and swing the ball out. It just won't work. He has to use extra speed, keep the ball in line, and keep it in the pocket. You can't give away the 1-3 pocket on this championship pair.
And he is really taking his time, more than usual. Picking up a little debris from the approach. Well, it's a big event. Added pressure. For Charlie Tapp of South St. Paul, Minnesota, it's a spare in the third frame. He maintains a 6-pin lead. We're in Toledo, an event sponsored by, for our first time, a bank, Toledo Trust. Leaders in the community have done a great job with Bob Rakoff here and Imperial Lanes in promoting this national championship. It'll return here next year. 10-pin on the left lane for Tapp.
Charlie Tapp, he's using a urethane ball. As we said, Steve Westberg's using the rubber ball. And on this pair of lanes, when the lanes dry out, the rubber ball may work a little better for Tapp. If he happened to have one down there to use, he could switch to it. He wouldn't have to swing the ball quite as much, and he'd have a better chance of carrying the solid strike.
It's a 5-pin lead held by Charlie Tapp with that mark, that spare, in the fourth frame. We'll be back. Imperial Lanes, but first.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming to bring you the following special report from ABC News. From Washington, ABC News correspondent Tom Gerald.
Good evening. After 9 weeks of testimony and almost 12 hours of deliberation, the jury in Atlanta, Georgia, has now convicted the young freelance photographer Wayne Williams on both counts of murder. Williams was tried for the murders of 2 young blacks, 27-year-old Nathaniel Cater and 21-year-old Jimmy Ray Payne. They were but 2 of 28 young blacks in the Atlanta area who were found mysteriously murdered during a 22-month period. The jury earlier this afternoon announced that they had reached a decision in one of those cases, but the judge told them to go back and deliberate further. And just moments ago in the courthouse there in Atlanta, the jury came back and announced that they had found that Wayne Williams was guilty on both of the murder counts brought against him. We have standing by in Atlanta ABC correspondent Bob Serkin, who has been working on this story since it began some 9 long weeks ago. Bob, what more can you add to the verdict?
Can't do it till I'm ready, guys.
Tom, the jury deliberated a total of 11.5 hours before returning the 2 guilty verdicts, the verdicts of guilt on the cases of Jimmy Ray Payne and Nathaniel Cater. As you said earlier, about 5 o'clock, the jury reached one verdict, asked Judge Cooper for instructions. He told them to continue deliberating, and then at about 6:30 came the second guilty verdict. The guilty verdicts were read in court by District Attorney Lewis Slayton. Wayne Williams was yet how he reacted. Judge Clarence Cooper is expected to impose the sentence very shortly. It is a mandatory life sentence for each count of murder. The judge now has to rule on whether they will be concurrent or consecutive life sentences.
The verdict in this case came in reasonably fast, considering the length of the testimony and also the fact that there seemed to have been some slight doubt about the prosecution's case in terms of the evidence that they presented. Were you surprised that the jury on both cases came in this quickly with guilty verdicts?
I must admit I was surprised at the speed that that this verdict was handed down in, considering the fact that there are 2,000 pieces of evidence surrounding the jury in the courtroom, considering 9 weeks of testimony, a lot of it conflicting, and considering the fact that this was basically a very circumstantial case that the state put up against Wayne Williams. A lot of us thought that it would take the jury much longer to sort all of this out, possibly a week. But, of course, that was not the case here.
Bob, what do you think, what in your opinion was the most damaging thing to Wayne Williams in this trial? What hurt him most?
There is no question that the judge's ruling several weeks ago allowing the state to introduce evidence from 10 other cases so as to establish Wayne Williams' pattern and motive probably hurt the defendant the most. And defense lawyer Al Binder has told me that when he takes this case to appeal, which he most certainly will do, he will appeal on that basis, saying that there was no ground for the judge to allow those 10 other cases to be introduced.
As far as the penalty in this case, Bob, we're looking at what as the possible maximum, and with convictions in both cases, what can that do in terms of the possible total length of time that Williams would have to serve before he would be eligible for parole?
Well, in the state of Georgia, you can be eligible for parole after 7 years on a life sentence. So if the judge were to impose consecutive sentences, it would be 14 years before he could come up for parole.
Bob, we have just been handed a note that it is 2 consecutive life terms, so 14 years before he would be eligible for parole is exactly what the determination has been by the jury. 2 consecutive life terms for the murders of Nathaniel Cater, 27 years old, and Jimmy Ray Payne, the 2 men that Wayne Williams was accused of murdering there in Atlanta. Bob, there are a number of other murder cases that have occurred during this same 22-month period. Some 26 other murder cases that are still listed, I guess, officially as unsolved in the Atlanta area. Might these decisions have any bearing at all on the outcome of those cases in terms of what may happen to them?
Well, of course, Public Safety Commissioner Lee Brown told us last summer that he was committed to keeping the task force together until every one of those cases was solved. The fact is, however, that the police task force has dwindled in size to less than 30 investigators. So whether they would clear 10 of the remaining 26 cases, because those 10 cases were introduced in evidence, that is a possibility, or whether they have to go out now and close out these 26 other cases by other means. And there's another factor. Nearby DeKalb County has 5 murder cases on the list, and now they must make a decision as to whether they will prosecute Wayne Williams on any of those 5 cases.
Bob, how about the Atlanta community? We know this whole string of murders was a tremendous shock to that community, and I heard a radio station only yesterday receiving telephone calls from people in the community saying, in effect, we don't think he did it, we think the killer is still loose. What impact on the Atlanta community is this verdict likely to have? Would it be calming, for example?
Well, I think to some degree. However, there has been an overwhelming amount of public opinion that this man, this defendant Wayne Williams, was a scapegoat, a political scapegoat. And the district attorney himself has made statements that there are possibly 3 distinct patterns in these killings and maybe as many as 10 killers. Wayne Williams is now leaving the courthouse. He's in that car with a flashing blue light, being taken back to the Fulton County Jail, back to his cell where he has remained in isolation since his arrest last June 21st, Tom.
Bob Serkin, thank you very much in Atlanta. We'll be back to you later tonight for later details. We've been handed a note that in the courtroom, the judge, as he announced the decision and announced the verdict in the Wayne Williams case, Wayne Williams said, and I quote, "I did not do it. I did not do it." That's what he told the judge as the jury found him guilty on 2 counts of murder. Again, Wayne Williams, the 23-year-old freelance photographer in Atlanta who was on trial for 9 long weeks, accused of murdering 2 young blacks in a string of some 28 deaths in that city. Wayne Williams has been found guilty. He has been ordered to serve 2 consecutive life terms, which means that he would not be eligible for parole for 14 years. We'll have further details on this story later tonight on the ABC Weekend News. For now, I'm Tom Jarrell, ABC News in New York. Good evening.
This has been a special report from ABC News. We now return to our regular program schedule.
Has a 5-10 split coming up. This is how it happened. See that ball deflect way left. Just didn't go through the pins. And the odds on a 5-10 conversion for the professionals, 3-1. From Cottage Grove, Oregon, Steve Westberg. He needs to get this. 5-10. As you saw, he went for it. An open frame, 163 through the 8th, a 2-pin lead. 16 pins diminishing down to 2 with an open in the 8th. And of course, the tip coming up today by Nelson Burton Jr., a tip for the ladies.
Chris, and that 5-10 split by Westberg is a kind of follow-up to the controversy they had with the pins being off spot. The lefties said the pockets were too tight on that hit. It apparently looked like the rack on 26 was too tight to carry out the 5-pin.
So he bounced right back following that open frame, and that was a foundation strike in the 9th. Here's a reaction from the southpaw.
He really looks good out there. This is the best I've seen him look in all his championship round appearances.
Now in the 9th frame with a spare working, trailing by 2, Charlie Tapp, who won the first game over Dave Davis, 198 to 184. Winner of this game will meet Mike Durbin. The winner of the semifinal action will go against the tournament leader from whom you just heard, Earl Anthony. Big strike. 9th frame, Charlie Tapp.
From our low-angle camera, you see Charlie Tapp hit high. Watch the 2-pin go to the sideboard, take out the 4-7. The first good break Tapp has had all day. He sets himself up with that shot. And the situation is simply this. Both players have a strike up. They can't lose count. Tapp is trailing by 2 pins. He needs a strike to take the lead.
Again, Charlie Tapp asking Harry Golden about a re-rack on the left lane.
Apparently to me, Chris, the rack looks right on spot. You know, pins have a 1/4 inch tolerance from the center of the spots that are put in by the manufacturer on the pin deck. So the pins have all been checked by the PBA officials. They are on spot. It's just that the players are not satisfied with them. Sometimes they have too meticulous of an eye.
10th frame strike by Charlie Tapp. An 8-pin lead now for Tapp, trailing by 2, and with the double.
A perfect shot, his best shot so far today in the crucial time. Solid in the hole. He leads by 8 pins, can extend to 18, but in no way can he shut out Westberg. No matter what Tapp does, Westberg can still get up and win the match.
We have a mic on Charlie Tapp. See if he'll make any comments. Charlie is tense, usually talks a little.
He must have listened to Earl Anthony's interview. Earl said pick up the speed. The last 2 shots are the hardest shots Charlie Tapp is throwing, and he took advantage of the track that time. He pulled that ball a little bit. It settled in that slightly worn area where all the righties play, and it went right in the pocket. He's in the driver's seat, but no way can he shut out Westberg.
Three-bagger up. Say come on, and with the pressure mounting here, you can see the tension in Charlie Tapp, the 6'5" 30-year-older from South St. Paul, Minnesota. But when the chips were down, 4 in a row and a 221 for Tapp. Wow. Now Steve Westberg, trailing by 18, has a strike up in the 9th.
Must strike on this ball and the next ball, and a 9 count to win. That's something that Steve Westberg has missed in his whole career, that great clutch finish that he's had. I noticed it last night, Chris. He's in a situation where right now, with a strike and 9, he can go on to meet Mike Durbin in a semifinal match, but he must strike on this ball.
Sounds so final.
It is.
And the loser of this match will pocket $8,000. It is a 6-10 tough break for Steve Westberg of Cottage Grove, Oregon. And here at the Imperial Lanes in the National Championship, a deep breath by the winner, Charlie Tapp, who now goes against tough Mike Durbin. We'll be back.
The following performance is brought to you by the Champion Spark Plug Company. We are starting the 1982 performance season with over 197 Formula One victories, domination of international motorcycle championships, worldwide use by major professional racing teams. And we can help you get sure starts, terrific mileage, and performance. Next tune-up, insist on champions. Champion wins the world over.
Nobody has to tell me to get on the stick. With the wide stick, I don't waste time or money. See, Speed Stick deodorant is so much wider than the other leading stick. Gives you effective protection in just a few strokes. And if you've been using an aerosol, look, you'd use up 2 3-ounce sprays and start a 3rd before you'd use up 1 2.5-ounce Speed Stick. So get on the stick.
Makes sense.
The Wide Stick Speed Stick deodorant.
By Menon.
You can't count on anything these days.
Did you type the letter I told you to type?
No. With possibly one exception. Federal Express. When it absolutely positively has to be there overnight.
And here in Toledo, a 221-211 victory for Charlie Tapp over Steve Westberg of Meet Durbin now. Before we do the Rolaids tip of the week for the ladies. Ladies, watch Nelson Burton Jr. and his wife, Sissy. It'll help your game.
The Professional Bowling Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
One of the biggest problems women have in the game of bowling is the broken or flopping wrists. There are 2 major causes for this problem. Number 1, improper grip. Many women insert their fingers too far into the bowling ball, past the second knuckle. Some women don't put their fingers far enough into the bowling ball, not even down to the first knuckle. Remember, the proper grip should hit your fingers somewhere between the first and second knuckle. The second major cause of this problem for women is not holding the ball firmly in the palm of their hand throughout the push-away and down to the bottom of the swing. They often flop or open their wrist at the bottom of the swing. Remember, keep your wrist firmly underneath the ball throughout the push-away, all the way through the arm swing, and down to the point of release. There's an old saying in bowling, let the wrist control the ball, not the ball control the wrist. Now let's see the proper technique. To eliminate the broken or flopping wrist, you have to solve the 2 problems. Number 1, the grip. See your professional. He'll check your grip and tell you if it's proper. Number 2, hold the ball firmly in the palm of the hand throughout the arm swing.
The Dallas Morning News, 3 a.m. You know this crew gets heartburn. And when they do, there's no time to stop. No wonder so many people take Rolaids, the tablet that gives millions 100% relief. Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief. With Rolaids, you can keep going. Rolaids. Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Charlie Tapp of South St. Paul, Minnesota, has won 2 matches now, 198 to 184, and a 10-pin victory over Steve Westberg, 221 to 211, with 8 strikes. Tapp, who had only 2 in his first victory, but a lot of spares, goes against 6'1" Mike Dermond, a 40-year-old 9-time champion from Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Winner of this match will go against the tournament leader, Earl Anthony, where they'll be bowling for $58,000.
Charlie Tapp, let's see how much that finishing push took out of him. It's tough to throw 3 strikes when you really need it.
All right, the left lane is opening strike for Tapp. Now, Mike Durbin. Tremendous record in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. In fact, he's a tremendous bowler.
Chris, he has the best record for anybody in the last 5 years in championship rounds. He's won 14 out of his last 15 games on national television. One of the toughest ever.
And with that line to the pocket and with mixing action, the match is all even. We get a profile view of Mike Durbin.
By the book. He has won with 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. He's a great student of this game, but he uses that powerful upper body to control the ball, and he puts everything in proper position. The man who is in tremendous physical condition. I traveled with him for a year on the tour. He's a great disciplinarian, and he loves this game.
Attended UCLA and Colorado State Teachers College before joining the PBA Tour.
Blowing in the thumb hole to just put a little moisture in there to keep it from drying out. Get the good feel.
Leaving the 2-4, and you could see he was sort of shrugging or loosening his shoulder. This is his first game after waiting while Charlie Tapp, his opponent, won 2 matches. And still waiting is our tournament leader, Earl Anthony. Strike and a spare for Mike Durbin. Now Tapp is up with the strike working. Bob Rakoff, general manager here, who just reflects the enthusiasm of bowling interest here in Toledo, Ohio. He's done a super job.
And a man sitting right behind him, one of our great, brilliant fathers of our director, John DeLisa. John DeLisa Sr. came to see his son produce or direct his last telecast with the Pro Bowlers Tour. Nice of him to show up.
And Charlie Tapp with a double, opening double. This is the semifinal game.
Let's see what kind of adjustment Charlie Tapp's made. He's moved a little farther inside. We noticed he was around the 12th board in his first match. That time he crossed around the 14th board on the right-hand lane. Imperial Lanes, you can do that. You can move in and swing it. The left-hand lane, he's going to have to maintain the speed and go right at the 1-3 pocket. It seems like that win in the last match has really loosened him up, Chris. He's throwing the ball much firmer and much quicker. He's picked up his pace.
And so is the prize money here at the National Championship. The loser of this match will get $11,000. And Charlie Tapp with a 6-pin, and fans here, capacity crowd, are getting behind the man that won 2 games, 2 strikes in the first game against Dave Davis, 198 to 184, 8 strikes in his next victory over Steve Westberg, 221 to 211. But now it's right-hander Mike Durbin, his opponent. A double and a spare as Harry Golden looks over the pins requested by Mike Durbin on the right lane.
I don't know if this is a psych point between righties and the lefties or whatnot, but I went down and studied them very closely, and they look right on spot. But even from your camera angle, it looks like the 1-3 are wider than the 1-2. It shouldn't affect the righties.
5 Eastern and Pacific, 4 Central World Weightlifting Championships, Winter National Drag Racing World Cross Country on Wide World, following the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. On the right lane, Mike Durbin, spare working, 3rd frame. wide world today, at Winter National drag racing, men and women, great competitors. Then, a sport that's rapidly gaining fans, cross-country skiing. These will be the world's championships from Oslo. He wants the national championship. So does this man.
Chance to take the lead with one more strike.
Nope. 7-pin for Durbin on the left lane.
A rocky 7-pin. The light hit for the pro bowlers is usually their best friend because we use pins that move very quickly. These 3-pound, 3-ounce pins that we're using today should strike on the majority of hits that are hit light like that. Durbin did not get a good break.
Mike on this championship pair had a 193 average to Tap's 225 during the week. Going to take a break, return to the national championship. A very close third match.
Way to go, guys. I'm Bobby Hull. I played it rough for 23 years with the big guys. I used Absorbine Jr. then for my sore aching muscles, and believe me, I still do. Absorbine Jr. really loosens up stiff, hurting muscles. Just rub Absorbine Jr. in. That warmth soaks right down to help relieve those sore, aching muscles. Get yourself some Absorbine Jr. I call it the sore muscle medicine.
If you want a real insurance value for your car, your home, your life or health, check with State Farm.
I'm State Farm Agent E.G. Warren. State Farm agents offer a good price on all your personal and family insurance. But a real value is more than just a good price. It's the protection that's right for your needs and personal service you can count on too. For good protection at a good price and service you really can't put a price on, check with State Farm.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
While we were away, Charlie Tapp had a strike in the fourth frame, now on the left lane. He requested another re-rack. We've had countless requests and some granted. And a high hit leaves the 6-pin.
As you said, Charlie Tapp requested a re-rack from Harry Golden while we were away. Mr. Golden refused it, feeling that the pins were in position and fair for the ball to be entering the pocket. So Charlie Tapp may have gotten a good break if the pins had been right on spot where Charlie wanted me. Might have left a 4-6 split.
A spare for Tapp in the 5th frame, and warming up off to the right and watching as well is Earl Anthony, the all-time leader, who could go over the million mark with a win in one match coming up. He will meet the winner, Durbin Tapp. Now Durbin up, spare, working, shooting in the 5th frame. $80 through the 4th, a strike in the 5th.
As Debbie Durbin looks on the left and Mike's 18-year-old son having his 18th year birthday today on the right. They've been up here rooting for their daddy all week long, and as the scoreboard tells you, Mike Durbin can take the lead with another strike here in the 6th frame.
He's on the left lane here at Imperial in Toledo. The adrenaline flow for the family as well, and for the man that's out there doing it on his own. Mike Durbin with a double. Now Tapp shooting in the 6th, spare working. Tapp a winner of the first 2 matches here.
Durbin really put it on Tapp with that shot. He showed him he's out there to win. He's a strong physical person. He said, Charlie Tapp, you're going to have to come get me. He went right to the pocket. Tapp trails by 1 pin now.
Leaving the 10.
Charlie Tapp, who started bowling at the age of 27, mostly because he couldn't get the backers to put him out here on the tour, and his drag racing venture that he eventually struggled with has really developed in one of the top players. We're going to hear a lot from him. Right now he's in position to take a run at the national championship. He only trails by 2 in the semifinal game.
Cross lane. Coming back up just a touch. So the 10-pin goes, and marking is our statistician, Palmer Falgren.
Had a good week, Palmer did. Finished 14th for $2,300 out of this $200,000 prize fund. $38,000 first, the biggest ever in professional bowling so far this year.
Who opened with a double, a strike in the fourth, marks with another strike in the seventh, and 2 pins separating these two professionals in the semifinal game. The loser, as I said, $11,000. But if the winner can go on and could win in that final match coming up, it could pick up $38,000. Ten-pin on the right lane after the double for Mike Durbin, maintaining a 1-pin lead. There's Chrissy, Mike and Debbie's daughter, and they have another son named Matthew.
Mike just didn't get the lift that time. You notice the first 3 frames he played on the right-hand lane, he struck in the first, third, and fifth. He lofted the ball well out there with his wrist. That time he just laid it short, lost it a little bit. Look out.
He knew it the minute he released it. He was rushed to the line. And there is a disastrous open frame from a 1-pin lead. He trails by 11.
After an errant shot like that, you must get your thoughts back together. Durbin has used a different ball for his spare shot, and he apparently lost it on the downswing.
A high hit leaving the 4 on the left lane.
Chris, there's a lot of talk about changing balls for spares and strikes, and one of the old theories is you keep the same ball and adjust your speed because every ball feels a little different. That's what put Durbin in trouble that time. The other ball didn't feel the same, and he lost it. Now he's lost his feel.
In fact, Bo, isn't there more changing of equipment, lighter balls, back to a 16-pound ball as we go along?
Well, a lot of the players on the urethane finishes that hook very much, like we saw in Peoria last week or down at the U.S. Open in Houston, are using the 15-pound balls to generate the speed. They don't need the power on the back end because today's plastic pins are very light and they move. But on today's condition, all the players are using a 16-pound ball here at the National Championship.
Carefully placing himself in the approach of the right lane. After that open, leads by 11, strike up, shooting in the 8th. Yes, in all sports, all of life, luck is necessary.
Charlie Chapp started the first shot of this championship round with a 4-9. Now we'll see what the difference is here. The 2-pin goes to the sideboard and goes between the 4 and 7. Now watch the action of the 4-pin as it takes out the 9. What a big turnaround. If he strikes here, the difference between those 2 pins falling down, Chris, is 34 pins in the match.
All right. We often get letters wondering how much luck has to do with winning. Well, you see it from time to time. All right. With that 3-bagger, that last strike in the 9th frame, 31-pin lead, and Mike Durbin, who had the lead once by 2 pins, has a spare in the 8th, shooting in the 9th. Picture perfect, pocket hit.
Daughter Chrissy claps, and I wonder if she can tell the score. Sometimes the little children are so innocent. But here's the situation for Durbin. Must strike. As you see, Charlie Tapp is going in it. And there's that son. He knows what the score is. Charlie Tapp's going at a 2:28 pace. Durbin can force him to mark in the 10th with a strike here in the 10th and 11th frames.
All right, the 10-pin on the left lane.
Durbin has bowled such an excellent game. Strike in the first frame, a 2-4, the only wide shot he had. Then strike, 7-pin, double, 10-pin, missed it. Another shot in the pocket in the 8th, a strike in the 9th, and another 10-pin in the 10th. He could have been in the 230s. The best he could do is 197.
All right. There's his wife, Debbie. Her husband is 177 through the 9th, spare in the 10th. And this is the semifinal game. The winner to meet, Earl Anthony. It's a 197 for Mike Durbin. Much less than he had wanted, of course.
Charlie Tapp just must keep the ball in the lane on this shot, and he goes against Earl Anthony for $38,000 first prize. $58,000 involved in the last game, and Chris, that's the amount that the whole tour bowled for in 1959. What a difference in just a few short years.
All right, there's the man. On his way to winning his third consecutive match, but his big challenge coming up is Earl Anthony on the Professional Bowlers Tour. A message from a sponsor and then station identification.
Working late again, Mr. Peabody?
Afraid so, Rose.
You were the genius who designed the Firestone 721 tire.
That's my problem. They want me to top it.
Top it? But isn't the 721 what they call a winner?
Oh, sure. It's got 7 around 2 wrapped by 1. There's 24 million on the road, you know.
And you're gonna top that, Mr. Peck?
Well,
The Firestone 721. It's one tough tire to top.
This particular side, it's like a tingling sensation.
John O'Donnell shampooing one side with Denerex, the other is usual dandruff shampoo.
This side, there's no feeling at all.
That's your Head & Shoulders. It doesn't have what Denerex has, an extra relief medicine to fight dandruff itch.
Each shampoo has one medicine for dandruff itch. Only Denerex adds extra anti-itch medicine many dermatologists recommend.
The tingling in Denerex tells me that it's fighting the dandruff itch. I was a Head & Shoulders guy, but I'm going to switch to Denerex.
Denerex, regular or mountain fresh herbal, fights dandruff and its itch with extra relief medicine.
Could the cost of defending America destroy America? Next week, watch ABC's World News Tonight.
Just when things were getting predictable, white lightning strikes. Charged up Capri Magic for 1982. From a 5-liter V8. Capri White Lightning. Catch it because it's going fast. Now get a $750 cash bonus on Capri.
When you're hungry for real excitement, munch. When you're hungry for fast action, munch. With Odyssey's new KC Munchkin video game, it's eat or be eaten as you chase through mind-boggling mazes, gobbling up points. And when you're hungry to step up the challenge, punch. Odyssey's computer keyboard lets you program a myriad of mazes all your own. Nobody else's maze game does that. KC Munchkin, available now. Programmed by you.
Learning to count on computers starting Monday at 6.
And look at some of the other 24 finalists. Buckley just missed. Knipple and Weltsign. John making a good run. Finished 7th and 8th. A tie. Kevin Gillette, who just got knocked out of the Firestone 9th. Our Firestone Tournament champions, Steve Cook. Gary Dickinson, steady. All be up there. Robinson. Palmer Falgren, our statistician. Johnny Petraglia. Boise Huber from St. Louis. Dick Nardoza. Malacosta. Ernie Schlegel, the man we saw last year. Paul Moser in 20th. Carmen Salvino, the great champ. Don Johnson bowling better than ever. Tom Robarts. And Mr. Wilkerson, who re-racked a lot, was in 24th place. It took a 201 average to finish 90th. That was $540, Chris.
Mike Durbin eliminated. Charlie Tapp winning at 226 to 197. 6 strikes in the third game, and now a non-winner, Charlie Tapp. PBA titles or championships, going against a man who has won 37, who has won 4 national titles, Earl Anthony. Shooting first will be Tapp.
And another thing to think about Charlie Tapp, a 7-year exemption for winning this major title into the Firestone. A lot riding for Charlie Tapp. Earl Anthony bowling for almost a completely different reason, immortality.
Leaving a 4-7, the man that in 3 victories here, live from Toledo, averaged 215.
Tapp going a little high, breaks the 4-7 and a 9-pin out at the last moment. A routine, easy spare to start the championship match.
From right to left on the left lane, Tapp. Chopped. 4 off the 7. Replay it.
He can't believe it. A spare of the pros will maybe miss 1 in 500 in a championship match. He starts off by sliding the 4 around the 7.
And on the right lane, the great left-hander, Earl Anthony. Jumping on it. Look at the intensity. Those blue eyes.
Whew. Earl Anthony has been the tournament leader in the national championship 5 times. He's won it 4 times. The only man to defeat him was Mike Albee when they bowled in Las Vegas.
Susie Anthony, Earl's wife. Earl's average this week through 56 games, 223.5. Well, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Chris just lost it at the bottom of the backswing, right on through. And wow, did he open the door for Charlie Tapp. Anything can happen in this championship match.
Gave it his all, leaving 2 pins. Oh, what a beginning of a match where they're bowling for $58,000.
Anthony going for it and actually catches it too light. If that 4 pin had just hit the 8 pin, it might have bounced into the 6-10 and given him a chance to convert. Charlie looking for another re-rack. I don't know if he's trying to psych Earl. I've bowled left-handers personally on television, Chris, and sometimes if you feel like you got an edge, you like to try to rub it in a little bit, but I don't know. For $58,000, I'd be worrying about my own game and just concentrate on throwing strikes.
When we were down introducing the tip, Charlie said that he was really nervous, uptight. He's had 3 victories. Got to be tiring a bit, maybe. All right, leaving the 1, 2, 10 on the right lane.
You think $58,000 doesn't make that span in the bowling ball a little shorter? Charlie Tapp hit his spot at the arrows, got no lift on it all, slid by the 1, 2, 10 washout.
2-to-1 odds for the professionals to convert this. Winner to get 38, the loser, or runner-up, let's call them, 20,000.
A little tougher shot, a washout on a lacquer condition, because you have to cross over that track area on the right. Let's see how Charlie attacks it.
Well, today, master of conversions. Lovely, saving it, marking with a spare.
Super shot, the head pin goes to the sideboard, bounces out of the channel, takes out the 10, he stays ahead in the match.
3rd week in a row, Bo, that we've been in a river city. St. Louis, the Mississippi, the Illinois, Peoria, and now the Maumee in Toledo. One difference, the Maumee flows north. Did you know that?
I didn't. I was just down to the OI building and the Toledo Trust, and it's a beautiful complex.
All right. After that conversion, Tapp bouncing back with a strike in the 3rd frame. And next week we'll be in Miami, Kendall Lanes for the Sunshine Open. And then March 13th, the Washington, D.C. area for another great championship, the Long Island Open, Garden City, the 20th, 27th. Back to Milwaukee and the Miller High Life Open, always good. So an open, and the great champion comes back in the 3rd with a strike. And as we said, if Earl wins today, he has to win to go over the $1 million mark in money earned stroking the bowling ball.
Earl has asked for a re-rack. Look at the intensity on his face. He is allowed 1 in the game without having to be contested by the tournament director. He has already taken that one. Let's see what kind of adjustment he makes on the left-hand lane after leaving that wide open 5-pin split in the 2nd.
There's a double by Earl Anthony in the national championship before Packed House, Imperial Lanes in Toledo. Going to leave, we'll return for this final match.
You're cutting a ship out of a mountain of steel, and you don't stop until you hear that sound.
Hey, man. It's Miller time. Let's go.
Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life.
When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear.
Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you've got the time, Miller's got the beer.
For special offers on American-made tools, come to your participating hardware or home center store's great All-American Workshop sale. Save now on 10-inch vice grip straight jaw pliers and 7-inch vice grip pliers with wire cutter. Buy this Hobby Crafter Work Center and Vice by Black & Decker and get a 14-piece X-Acto knife set free. For all those jobs around the house, the Burns-O-Matic Oxygen Tote Torch. Now with free safety goggles from Burns-O-Matic. They're just some of the specials now at your hardware home center store during the great All-American Workshop sale.
Looking at Charlie Tapp while we're away, first ball in the fourth frame. He has left the six pin now. He'll try to cover it in the championship match for the national title. All right, he had a strike up. It's a spare in the fourth for Tapp, who has won 3 games. Anthony, when he's back up in the fifth, will be working on a double.
Charlie Tapp, 218 average leading the Pro Bowlers Tour. A right normally reserved for Mark Roth, who's struggling a bit this season. Earl Anthony leads by 7. Tapp, having no trouble with the left-hand lane, has been around the pocket. He left a 4-7 in the first frame, got a strike in the third. Let's see if he can stay in the 1-3 area here in the fifth.
There is a 4-pin on the left lane in the national championship contested here a year ago, and Anthony won it. Winner's share was $21,000. This year it's $38,000.
Ball cutting through. 2-pin didn't do the action on the 4, and Charlie, really not in trouble on the left lane, has to get his act together on the right-hand lane to keep some pressure on Anthony. This next frame is going to be very pivotal for Earl Anthony. If he can hit the right-hand lane, he'll really have Tapp in trouble.
All right, now here is Earl Anthony, 4-time national championship winner, and each time he won it from the top-seeded position. And that's the situation he's in today, the tournament leader. Picture perfect on the right lane, Nelson, a 3-bagger for the champion.
Chris, let's look at Earl's line. We saw everybody else playing right around the 12th board. Here's Earl Anthony. Now watch the break of Earl's ball. It's the most even, I think, of any player on the Pro Tour. You see, he doesn't get the sharp break at the back end that seems so popular out here. He keeps it in the pocket, doesn't beat himself. Accuracy is still #1 in this game.
Looming large, the 3 strikes. Tap the opponent. Earl on the left, thankful for only the 6-10.
He wanted that strike, Chris, but he knew when he let go of it, he just kind of babied it. Sometimes hard to give it room when you really want one, and he kept it in play. Now there's where his style keeps him on top. Most players would have cut through and got a 4-6 split. Earl, with that very small break, kept the ball in play, has an easy spare of the 6-10.
Former baseball player. Spare in the 6th frame for Earl Anthony, 104 through the 5th. And now Charlie Tapp will be bowling in the 6th frame, a spare working, trailing by 16 pins. This is a man that has won 3 matches with a .215 average.
Charlie Tapp, this is an important strike because, important ball for him, because he's lost on the right-hand lane. He had a washout in the 2nd frame and then went right in the nose in the 4th. Let's see if he can get zeroed in.
.47 on the right lane.
Charlie Tapp with that good steady head, keeps his eye right on the target, spotting right at the arrows. And notice how he didn't even blink or move his head as he released the ball, and he thought he had it there, but he has to do what we talked about earlier. Maintain your speed on this pair. Even Earl Anthony gave him the tip when we're doing the interview. You got to throw hard. You can't make the move inside.
Carefully now to the line. That time he made sure on the 4-7. Tap for the spare, 6-frame championship match.
This is where you have to gather all your thoughts. 4 frames left. He's never been in a winner's circle, bowling against bowling's #1 winner.
37 titles. Of the 5 today, we had a total of 67 titles with Durbin, Davis, Westberg. A 10.
Sometimes when the roof caves in, it brings the rain with it. 6-pin flies around the 10. By far, Charlie's best shot so far in this championship match. Earl Anthony was studying the rack. He was looking at his position on the approach while he's sitting down there and studying the pins to make sure they're in a perfect position that he likes.
All right, a spare in the 7th. For the title, it is Tap and Earl Anthony. Going to take a pause. We'll return to Toledo, Imperial Lanes, after this.
Just when he thought the thrill was gone, that the times had made cars too much the same, a brand new Sierra pulled around the corner. Sierra, this was new. Cutlass Sierra, an Oldsmobile, a Cutlass with front-wheel drive and very practical. He liked the looks. Cutlass Sierra. The thrill is back, he decided.
Now get a $500 cash bonus on any new Cutlass Sierra delivered between now and March 31st.
The beauty of a Delta faucet is, when it's on, it's on. And when it's off, it's off. Its washerless design helps keep it from dripping, so it lasts and lasts and lasts. Delta faucet. We're first because we last.
John Sullivan, it's 11 a.m. Is your antiperspirant keeping you drier?
Yes, of course. It's new Old Spice Solid. Works overtime.
John Sullivan, it's 3 p.m. Still drier?
Yep, it's still working overtime.
New Old Spice Solid works overtime to keep you drier than the leading aerosols for over 24 hours.
Okay, thanks.
John Sullivan, it's 5 p.m. Is it still working overtime?
Yep, but I'm not.
New Old Spice Solid, the antiperspirant that works overtime to keep you drier.
Next, tremendous feats of strength in the World Weightlifting Championships, dragsters roaring in the Winter Nationals, plus a race for the gold in the 40-kilometer relay at the World Nordic Skiing Championships. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
While we're away, and we are running way late, Earl Anthony in the 7th frame left the 10, covered it for a spare. In the 8th, a strike. Getting closer to going over the $1 million mark in earnings as he bowls against Charlie Tap, who shoots in the 8th now with a spare up here in Toledo. In this championship game, only his 2nd strike.
This is the most important frame that Charlie Tap has rolled all day. He trails by 18 pins. He's up on his good lane. He needs to get this strike to close that gap down to 8 pins and put the pressure on Anthony.
Another request for a re-rack, Bo.
And Chris, you know, the re-racks sometimes are caused by mechanically the pins are touched by the machine as they're set, and they're on little rollers and they get soft spot a little bit. There's nothing you can do about it.
Following Professional Bowlers Tour 5 Eastern and Pacific 4 Central, Wide World of Sports, World Weightlifting. Lifting in excess of 500 pounds, all the quick speed of Winter National Drag Racing, and the World Cross Country Skiing Championships. Next.
Charlie Tap needs this strike. He trails by 18. If he doesn't strike here, Earl Anthony, all he has to do is mark out to win $1 million, go over that mark.
Charlie with 2 strikes in the first game, 8 in the second, 6 in the third, 3 wins. Here's his shot. Broad pressure. Accepting that huge challenge, Charlie Tap from South St. Paul.
He's kept himself in the match. He's brought it down to just 8 pins lead. Anybody can win. No. 2 frames left for Anthony, 1 for Tap.
Now Earl gets a re-rack on the right lane, granted by Harry Golden. Strike up, shooting in the ninth, 8-pin lead. Remember, winner, $38,000, runner-up, $20,000. So much at stake for both bowlers. Big one. 18-pin lead with a double up, and look at the intensity. You know, I call him the Jack Nicklaus of bowling. Their mannerisms are the same when the pressure's on. They just get up on their toes just a little bit more. Their intensity of their eyes, ooh, are they good.
Chris, with a strike here, Earl Anthony can go into the $1 million bracket. If he doesn't strike, Charlie Tapp can still win the national championship.
In fact, he'd be 12,586 beyond.
Earl has struggled on this lane. He needs a strike to win.
Look at his reaction. You will seldom see that, but in this historical achievement for Earl Anthony at Imperial Lanes in the national championship, wow.
He's the winner. He's going to be in the 220s even with a bad count.
Look at that. He is over the $1 million mark. 43 years old, his 38th victory, his 5th national championship. What a competitor. Earl in the 230s going against Charlie Tapp. And you were here at the richest tournament ever, the Witcher's share to the winner of $38,000. But more important, he has set a pace as Susie gives him that ever-loving hug here in Toledo, Ohio, a great city where bowling is tremendous. He is the winner. Joe Antonora, the commissioner. Ed Bergsmark of Toledo Trust. They'll all be sharing in the spoils of victory to the winner, Earl Anthony. Picture telling the story here in Toledo, Ohio. And the national championship will come back, and you can rest assured that Earl, he won here last year, defending it successfully today. .230s going against Charlie Tapp. And you were here at the richest tournament ever, the Witcher's share to the winner of $38,000. But more important, he has set a pace as Susie gives him that ever-loving hug here in Toledo, Ohio, a great city where bowling is tremendous. He is the winner. Joe Antonora, the commissioner. Ed Bergsmark of Toledo Trust. They'll all be sharing in the spoils of victory to the winner, Earl Anthony. Picture telling the story here in Toledo, Ohio. And the national championship will come back, and you can rest assured that Earl, he won here last year, defending it successfully today in a tension-packed final match. 5 finalists, Charlie Tapp winning 3. What a disappointment for him, looking for not only his
Earl,
first win.
what do you think about when he came out in the 10th frame? If you opened, you could have lost the match.
That's you saw the shot. It was light in the pocket. I just wanted to make sure I didn't go through the nose. I wanted not to defeat myself. If somebody's going to beat me, I wanted Charlie to have to make the shots. And I figured he probably would, so I just didn't want to hit the nose.
You beat a great up-and-coming player, Earl. Congratulations. The greatest bowler of all time. Congratulations, Earl. Chris, back to you, partner.
All right, we do have a winner. We don't have a final score. That is secondary to everything that happened here. As we invite you to stay tuned next for ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the World Weightlifting Championships from Lille, France, the Winter Drag Racing Championships from Pomona, California, and the World Cross Country Skiing Championships from Oslo, Norway. Travel arrangements made through a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. This has been a presentation as Anthony wins, a presentation of ABC Sports.